If you're selling AI and AI automation, then you need to stop what you're doing and watch this video, because it's absolutely critically important that you understand what webhooks are and what API requests are, how they work, and how to troubleshoot them. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what they are, why they are so important for you and your AI automation business, and how to troubleshoot them. And we're going to build a quick little example so you can see how to map them out. My name is Altus. I have my own AI agency, my own school group, and you and we all need to understand that webhooks is what makes the internet go around, and it's super powerful to use, but there's a lot of go into it and it can be a little technical. So therefore, sit down, relax, just watch this video. There's no sales pitch, you don't need to buy anything, just follow along, understand, and you'll actually be able to offer so much more in your AI or automation business. So let's get into this really awesome video.
All right, a small bit of theory, just so you can get into it, so you can understand what it actually is. There's a couple of subtle differences, and there's things that might trip you up and stop you from executing it, or things happening, and you need to know where to troubleshoot it when things go wrong and you don't get the right things back. So you would have heard it all before. Webhooks, where's the API documentation? So what are all these things? So without going too much details in it, webhooks posting, and all of those is simply a way of sending data from one application device source to another, and the ability to also receive it back. And APIs is kind of in there. It's a way of authentication, because you get an API key, which is an authentication key. So if I want to be able to send and receive data back, my API key, unique password, kind of needs to match with the other one. That's it in a nutshell. Really, if you don't want to overcomplicate it, just think of it as that way. But how does it all work? So webhooks, API requests, I say it's just the ability to send data between different applications. So you might have different systems, different applications up, and you're sending and completing tasks specific to one thing or another. For example, you might have a voice AI assistant that needs to book into a calendar system that is not part of the voice AI system. Therefore, we need to send some data to the calendar system, also receive some data back, and make bookings, and so forth and so on. And it's all done with webhooks and API requests. And it's kind of very simple, this diagram in here. And again, it's really, it's in there, it's everywhere. It's really what makes a lot of applications and data function. Is kind of at the heart of it as well, especially where it's put out and programmed. And it's just these, you put something in here, it's going to send data via your webhook API request over to another. And now these work really well when we build those AI operating systems. I've talked about these before, where we're going to build a total system. It's going to be your own unique system. We build it out with different applications. You have Superbase, Zapier, Bolt / language modules, and you connect them all together. It's really important that we're able to send data backwards and forwards. And again, that's done with webhooks or API requests. And it's very similar. I'll show you the subtle differences down below. But that's kind of just what it says. If we have an application like Lovable that now needs to talk to Monday, or Retail AI that needs to talk to High Level backwards and forwards, all of it happens with API requests because it's really secure. So you might think that you actually, in all instances, a lot of times these happen with the help of automation tools like Make.com, N8N, and Zapier. And the core functionality really of these automation tools is to automate specific tasks. However, people quite often use it to connect these applications on, because there's specific formats for all of these. And what Make in it and in Zapier has done is they build in integrations, and that is really in the back end, just set programs in here that has the set structure of what it requires to connect these together. So for example, if Lovable wants to talk to High Level, it needs a specific URL, and we'll get to this very soon. It needs a specific URL, headers, requests, and parameters. It needs a very specific setup. Now, all of these are publicly available. I'm going to show you how to get all of those, But these guys here have just made it easier built in there, so you will send your data to them, and then from here you can send it off. However, you don't need to do that. For example, in here, this is a video generating tool that I have done, and it uses the file.ai. You don't need to worry about what it is, but file doesn't have a application in N8N, so I'm just sending a bunch of webhooks, and so this sends an image, this waits for the status, and this gets the data of the image URL, and then likewise with WAN as well. So all of it is just kind of HTTP requests, webhook requests, API requests. They're all very same and similar, and the way Webhooks works is at some stage within your application, and we're actually going to build it out really easy in a ChatGPT module and in that in very soon so you can understand. But within your application, your flow, your process, if you're filling in data, if you want to make a send out of form details, and somewhere there's going to be an event, the event is going to trigger what's called a payload. So literally a payload is a load of information that goes somewhere, and then it's going to send some data back. Now, Webhooks sends minimal data back. Usually there's a couple of status codes, and we'll get into those really soon. But you always get some sort of data back. However, if you want more sort of advanced specialized data, so webhook responses might not just be sending over data, but you also might want to receive something back. So it's a webhook request rather than a webhook post. Then we're talking about APIs, really, where we send our data out. So we're making that request, and I got this actually from Zapier, which is a really cool diagram. But we're going to say, hey, send me something, and the API request is going to do some sort of automation in the background, and you're going to get data back. So very similar, where webhooks only give us a couple of codes. We'll go over codes very soon so you can understand that. But APIs, you can get more things back. And it really works really well when we're talking about CRM systems, or any sort of system where we have user information, user data. So if I might send a webhook request to my CRM system in here saying whose email address is ALTCUTMAN@gmail.com, and it will come back with a response saying this is the contact details for it. And that's more of information and an example of a API request, where else you might have just normal webhook requests where we'll not show you exactly where we're going to do this, is where we just sent a contact form information. We'll start really easy like that through. So the way webhooks are structured, and this is the reason why these guys have it in there. They have the pre-made modules for a lot of applications in there. These are all, again, publicly available, but the way a webhook works is it's an HTTP request. Without going too much details again into it to get too confused in it, you're sending a packet of information to another server, and you're either doing it in a method of a get, so you're asking, or a post, so you're posting it, um, or so get and post, the two main ones. So you're either asking for something or you're giving it something. Okay, so you'll see a couple of differences later on, but we also need to know where to send it, and every application again has a unique URL for every different request. So high level will have a different URL to get contact details. It will have a different URL to get booking details. And again, the reason these guys are good, they have those pre-made in there, but we need a type of post. What's our package going to be? Where are we going to send it? What's the information in there? What are we going to ask back, or what are we going to send? And then a little bit within the body in it. So lots of details and things that go into an API request, and usually in here is where things go wrong. If you don't get information or don't send information back, it's usually to do with the header in here. Now, if you're going to work this in N8N, it usually works it out really good, or make a comment and guide you through. However, if you're going to vibe code it, you need to figure all those things out as well. And in here is where things go wrong, and you can get a bunch of error codes. So webhooks usually sends error codes, and it's about just going into Google. There's heaps. You might just ask your ChatGPT about it. What are the common HTTP response errors. So the 200s are always going to be the ones that's good. 200 or 201s are going to be the ones that are good. 400 is usually kind of an authentication error or an error in there as well. And you can see, but in here, and they're all over the internet. You just got to Google what these codes are. Another very common thing that people do wrong is the fact that these get blocked by your firewall. So quite often people will host their N8N servers or host these servers on their local devices, and you can't, there's a number one, a routing option to get back to it. Don't overthink it. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. If you're going to host it in the cloud, then it'll be all fine, but there might be some firewall blockage for specific ports, replies, and responses as well. So very detailed, beginners friendly summary of what webhooks and APIs are. Don't overthink it. It's a way to send data backwards and forwards. And in this little example, I'm going to go through how to set up a quick ChatGPT module, and we'll look at a couple of advanced ones. Like all of these are available on the internet. You just got to look up the retail AI documentation, the Go High Level API documentation, and it's really well documented within high level in all the marketplaces and things like that. So we'll quickly find we're high level one in here. It's on Spotlight in here. And you can see what I mean quickly. We'll quickly go over a couple of examples. Retail AI ones are in here as well. And quite often these have the actual ability to test it out in here. So if we want to make a call, for example, outbound call makes and things like that. So lots of documentation on it, and we'll tell you how to do it. So let me find the API doc. It's up here, API references. I should have looked that up first. And you can see in here, this is all the endpoints. That's called your endpoint. So this will be the actual URL in here. And this is what it would look like in normal coding language. So curl is just making that HTTP request, but you can see your URL, your header, your data that we're sending. So very complicated they can get, and usually we send this in what's called a JSON format, which is just this format over here. So if ever you want to look these up in whatever documentation you want, let's just go through in here so you can see in here the basic ones in here for all of these. So really good, always publicly available, or some of these applications in here have it built out for you. Don't know how complicated. Let's go out and build out a couple of examples. So we're going to go with a simple, easy one. It's just going to be a simple form that we're going to send to N8N. So first name, last name, email address, telephone number, and we're going to send it to N8N for us. And then we'll do something with N8N, just something cool. Where I'll show you how to map those out, put in a chat module for example, and we'll talk about a little bit about then webhook replies. And we're going to use it with ChatGPT because you can actually build it in the canvas in there. You can do it with any one of these. If we're going to build it out of Lovable, or send forms, lots of different options. Simple example in here. So first things first, obviously you need N8N. Now, I've said this plenty of times. I've got a discount code as well. Just ask me for it. But you can pay N8N for your $30 a month about, or you can have the self-hosting option on here from Hostinger. I got a discount code in here. It works out to $7 a month, and you can actually save $260 a month with the discount code if you come in here and you sign up with a yearly plan. Like we're in $260. Here you go, have it. You have your own N8N server that's publicly available, because that's what we need. We need that public availability to send data to it, saving $264 a month. Super easy. I'll leave the links somewhere down the bottom, but you get your own server with Linux on it, and eventually you'll have N8N up there and running. So that's going to be our N8N server. So we're going to start with a blank workflow in here, and all we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to have that webhook out there listening for us. Now, In all of these examples, I'm going to not delve too deep into the security side of things, but always try use encryption, usernames, passwords, and API keys. Those are the kind of things that makes a total really encrypted data, especially if you're going to build this out for your client as well. There's also hash keys where the hash keys needs to match up. And so the better security you build on this, really spend some time on it. Everyone is just showing you how to do this. I'm going to show you also just how to do the basics on this. Security part for N8 or for any webhooks is really, really super important. But so for this example, we're just going to go in here. We're going to click the plus button. We're going to look up here and spell my head. And it's going to look up webhook. And the trigger is just going to be webhook. So move this back out the way now. If you're new to N8N, it's kind of a linear kind of workflow where we get data comes in and it works this very much the same for the workflow as it is for every module. Every module has data coming in, it has data editing, and it is data output. Input, edit, output. Really good setup. But here we go. So, and what sets N8N really far apart from Make.com is that you have this whole testing phase and mapping phase. So you don't have to start the workflow all the time. So if the test URL and the production URL, if you're going to use this for production, make sure you use this. But this is the URL that we're talking about, okay? So this is what we need to give to our other application, which is one we're going to build out ourselves. And again, these are everywhere. Webhook replies, responses are in. It's in Monday, it is in Go High Level, it is in retail. Anywhere, everywhere, there will be a webhook URL. We just need to make sure you get the right one. So this is going to be my unique one in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a notepad somewhere for me. And I'm going to copy this one. And I'm just going to save it in here for us. So this is our test one. You'll see if you're new to N8N, super easy to test things out. So in here, that's our test one. Now remember, I talked to you about the method. Couple of methods in here. It is either going to be the put, post, delete. Mostly what you're going to use is going to work with posting stuff and getting stuff. Most of that means that we either want to get data or get information on it. So for this, we're going to use a post one. So what this says is we're going to set up a listening webhook that's going to be able to get post requests in there. So the other side, we're going to get that one side's going to post. So backwards, forward post, we don't overthink these. Authentication is what I talked about in here, basic authentication header. And there's more parts that you can do in it as modules within the front that you can do within it. And if modules after security, really big, I'm not going to go too deep in it, but our response is going to be immediate. So it's going to be an immediate response. It's going to be one of those codes that we're going to give back. However, we can start building out the responses and going to work more of like an API function when we're going to get into that really soon. So all we need is this for now. Head over to ChatGPT. Now, the big thing with ChatGPT is when we do these function callings in the canvas, sometimes or quite often, it will actually not run in the canvas and we've got to download the form template. But don't worry about it. All I'm going to say is build me a web form. The web form will have a name, email, phone number. Once we have it, I want you to send it off to a webhook. The webhook is hosted by N8N. It is a post. It is on this URL. Once it's once it sends, I want you to show me some technical data, payload, and the payload and the status code. Now, what the payload is, what do I want to send? So the payload is going to be in the JSON format. So I'm going to say it will actually do this, but we're going to say for it to do this, the payload will be, or the payload needs to be in JSON format. So now I'm going to specify what are those variables. Now, don't overthink JSON formats. It's in here. Move this through in here. And all it says is how do we match the names to the variables. So, for example, in here, obviously you receive a number, but I'm not just going to send a number and I'm going to say that the from number is this number. You might have a to number, is that number. If I just send a bunch of random numbers, it's not going to have these variables. It's not going to know what it is. So now I'm just going to actually tell it to do it in such a way. So in here, I'm going to make in here and say so in JSON format, structure it as. So I'm going to say client name equals name, and always space in case sensitive. So I'm going to say client number equals the phone number, and then client email equals email. All right, so I'm getting half technical here with ChatGPT. I will actually just do this all for you, but you won't know what it is. Okay, so then stucker it. I don't know what I did there. Great work in here. But you'll be able to preview it in here, and usually ChatGPT puts up this annoying little error when it does this. And what I'm going to do is hopefully it's going to write this code for us, and I'll be able to download it. We can do the preview. Let's do the preview. And it's going to come up with these permissions because it wants to do stuff. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to have this open like this. Let's see our best way. Move my head out of the way. I'm going to have this open, and I'm going to have it a little bit like this. And now where's the other one gone? All right, so I have those open. So let's fill this out. We're going to say ALTCUTMAN. Put a number in. Technical output. So this is just me asking it. Obviously, you're not going to have to do that in here, but I'm going to hit the listen side in here. I'm going to be listening. I'm going to hit the send option. I'm going to say allow. All right, it's not liked it. So sometimes curl replies to that. And I'm just going to say stop listening. Let's see what happens. I might have to change this to get. I'm going to say listen again. And do I have the right URL? I have that. Let's see if that all works. So I get error code 404. It's not a post request, so get that wrong. Listen again. Send that through. All right, code 400. I don't know why the first one didn't work. Must have had something wrong, but anyway. So this is just a technical output for us. So this is the JSON format, okay? So this is what I mean, how it sends it. And our response is going to be message workflow was started. This is what we get back from N8N. Okay, so this in here. In very technical terms, what is done is it's done that post request to our URL. The content's going to be JSON, and it sends that in a JSON format. And then in N8N, it gets all this information back. Okay, so like I said in here, information comes through in here, puts that out for here. Awesome, right? So that's the basics of it. So let me show you how we can actually manipulate this a little bit. And we're going to change this to a bit of an API kind of thing. And we are going to wait for a webhook response back. So let's build that part out. So all I'm going to say in here, it makes it super easy. We're going to click this button in here, which allows us to actually pin the data so we don't have to do it all over again. I am going to go through in here and we're going to build out a basic chat interface for it. So that just said, fine. Now you can take this data, you can do anything with it. Obviously, N8N has got a bunch of stuff in it. We can now send that off to somewhere else, to another program. But let's just let's just pretend we're sending this out to something like OpenAI. Now, this can be a lookup that we're going to use, and make the possibilities endless. I'm going to show you something really just basic in here. So with all of this, I'm just going to say OpenAI, and I'm just going to say we're going to go with message and assistant, message and model. Come in here. So it's going to be text. The model we're going to use is, this doesn't make sense. I just want to send some data back. We're just going to say GPT 4.1 mini. I'm going to say write a funny joke specific to these user details. Now, in N8N, you need to map the fields. All right, so on the tell the GPT assistant, write a joke about this. If we want to map this on later on to other models or into other systems, they might ask for specific details. The way to map things in N8N, and we can see in here, in the body, we receive the client name, number, and email address. So what I'm going to do is click here, expression in here, and it's just a matter of dragging this over. Zapier, the same. Mag.com, the same. You just got to take what you have and you come down in the module and come down and write it in here. So write a funny joke about the user details in here. Then take the number and and write it back to front. Then tell me who is hosting this email. That one in there. Just looking for something to do to show you how we're going to build out a webhook response. All right, so we're going to go from sending data to sending data and getting data back. Two very similar things. All right, so JSON format in here, and we are going to say the output should be the response to this only. All right, we're going to hit execute in here. And sure, here's a joke. All right. Anyway, some prompting gone wrong. That's okay. Pin this, add response. So our webhook response, there's a module for it. Webhook response. And we're going to have we're going to have JSON format, and we are going to say, now it might have a problem here. Sometimes it does. These things get finicky sometimes because of how JSON formats are bad, we're just going to say reply, execute this, load a JSON string. The output should be plain text only. So a couple of things in here. Let's go try that one. Unpin. So it's struggling with the new lines. It's probably going to say the same thing. Go for this, pin this. Not a JSON format, and it's all right. We're going to go with plain text. Text response. So have that in there, have that in there. Hit all these. We're going to say this is going to be replying. So in that end story, what response is it going to get? Is it going to give us a code? Is it going to give us a fail code and K code, or is it going to give a response? I wanted to reply with the webhook response node, and that's going to be that part down the very end. So I can unpin that, and I can unpin this. I'm going to hit the save button in here. We're going to drag this back through in here, and now I'm going to say in ChatGPT, move this over here. I want to change this code now, so and it's gonna struggle with this, but it's okay. So I can get a response back from the webhook. The reply need to pop up on the screen, so we're going to replace this part in here. It will be part of the reply. Did I say reply? So all I'm saying is, rewrite the code. That's a pretty bad example. But what I'm going to say is, make sure we rewrite this in the canvas. Hopefully it goes. So it pops up whatever we say in here on the screen. So come on in here. I don't actually know if it did that. Failed to generate. So ChatGPT is not the best. This would have worked really quick in tool code, by the way, but I just want to show you in here because I know everyone uses GPT. So we'll go through this. It's going to create the basics for us. And it's good because I'll show you the problem, note if the error occurs. And here the problems have a both sometimes. In the last example in here, I'm going to quickly show you just had to add an extra key to it, but not the biggest of worry of it. So we have this running, then we're gonna change this back a little bit like this and put this back in here. Gonna refill in my details for you. I really hope the other ones I sent through actually show up on your screen. Gonna say execute this part. Waiting for response, and we're gonna come in here and we're gonna send it. So it does some stuff. Good. In here, reply. Right. Right. So that's the reply. So webhook sending, webhook replying, custom messages, and so on. So that's the basics of webhooks. It's the basics of sending things backwards and forwards. Now I'm gonna hit stop in here. That's the basics. Okay. Let's just quickly see if we can just add a quick bit of authentication in it if we have any more in here. I'll see if this part works. Let's go in here again. authentication is going to be basic authentication, create new credentials. Alright, click that. Header authentication, create new credentials. It's going to say auth. I'm going to say key. I'm going to show you this key and 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to say rewrite the code. There is going to be a header authentication. It's set out as auth and key 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to send that out. Now, what I'm actually hoping is that it should, the send header uses a custom auth credentials instead. Don't know what that part means. Let that save in there. So that's working. No, I don't want to save that part. Header authentication, account, header auth account. I'm going to say listen. So that means I should have tested the previous code to show you. So preview. And it should still fail. 403 failed. So authentication data is wrong. So that just shows you that it just send it in the header, 1, 2, 3 header. I should be able to test and fix that. So stop that. Stop that. And come back in here. Edit that. I'm going to tag that out. And I was going to write, oh, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Save. Listen again. No thanks. Bring that one over. And there you go. See, it started working in here. Have it in there. So as soon as you have the wrong key, it doesn't work. So anyone that has the key shows that it works. So that's basics of it. That's the basics of sending a webhook, getting webhook data back, manipulating data within here as well. So very good, very basic, complex, not too complex in it. Obviously you can do lots more with this, but I just wanted you to understand the basics of webhooks, understand the basics of API keys. It gets really a bit more complicated when you go in here. We actually have doing post requests. So we're doing a post request, so we're expecting more data back, and it works very similar. So it works very similar where we're going to send this. Stuff is going to happen in the background for retail, N8N, high level things are going to happen in the background. Let's see in here, calendars. So if you want to find your free slots, you need to find those. You can sometimes see in here, you need to change the URLs in there, but high level has made it really easy. It's in here whether you want to have a curl request, paste request, and you can actually save these in here, and then you can go copy this, and within N8N, you can go add a node. You can say an HTTP node, and you can actually paste import from curl. So in here, paste that in, and you can see it fills out the basics for you. The application authorization is going to be bearer token. So lots of cool things that's happening. Yeah, hope that makes sense, and I hope you understand all that. It's a very basic intro into it. What I wanted you to understand is not that complicated. Don't overthink it. And if you want more things like this, make sure you come over and see 2 school groups. So we have the AI Agency Mentorship Program, and when we come to the school group, you can see there's a bunch of cool, awesome stuff that you get obviously for free in here, but there's lots of awesome trainings exactly like this within that you can learn stuff from n8nmake.com high level voice error. So if you want to learn like this, get free high level accounts, make sure you come over and even just like, follow, and subscribe to videos. So thanks for watching, and we will talk to you later.